You know the vibe. All spice, no sugar. Let's get into it. All right, beautiful souls, welcome back to yet again another episode on the Don't Sugarcoat It podcast. And today I am accompanied by the most magnetic, incredible woman that I have been a huge fan for a very long time. And I'm so honored that she is sitting in the chair next to me in this episode and that you actually get to absorb her magic, her wisdom, and all the things, because I know if you like my vibe and the things that I talk into, you are going to absolutely love who I have in the chair next to me today. So this beautiful soul is a woman's embodiment leadership mentor and master facilitator within the personal development industry, and I've watched her for a number of years and I've aspired by her. Mariana has facilitated over 5,000 people through transformational events, retreats, and experiences for over a decade. And I have to admit, I absolutely love the energy and the room that she creates. It is so divine. It's just top tier standard. I love it. So all the things we're going to talk about, you guys are going to love today. I already know it. She has spoken in front of over 4,000 people on live and virtual stages and has scaled her business to multiple six figures. Typically, Mariana supports ambitious, self-led women who feel disconnected and stuck in the cycle of overgiving and overdoing. Mariana helps empower women to unleash their feminine magnetism and reach the next level in all areas of your life. I'm so excited to welcome Mariana to the podcast. Hello, my love.
Oh, hello. Oh, thank you for the intro.
You're so welcome.
So special to be here. Thanks for having me.
I know, it's so divinely orchestrated. And even just what we were talking about before, just like, you know, it's always like the chitter chatter that you have before the podcast. And I always think in my brain, we should be recording this right now because it's so good. And it's always the way, but it's like the divine orchestration of you representing yourself into my life. And it's like interesting because we've always kind of like crossed paths, and it's like I've known you for a few years, we've seen each other at events, we've known each other, and then of course I shared with you recently how you came back into my field, and I was like, I must message Mariana. The universe is saying be reconnected with her, welcome you into the podcast, and also the thing that we are currently building out that the audience will get to find out in a later date. But for now, I would love to know how you feel divine orchestration has played out in your business and also into who you've become today in the industry.
I love this question. Well, I'm highly spiritual. So, it's something that I feel that I'm constantly watering that seeds of faith and really trusting. And even when you're in the midst of the chaos and it's really hard to trust and to have that faith, I feel, there is always something else behind, just guiding and just paving the way so I can walk through it. And divine intervention has been always showing up in so many different ways. And what we're speaking before we actually start recording is exactly in times where I tried to control so much my life and the outcome that I wanted to have because I thought in my mind that that was the best thing that I could do. Mm-hmm. And little did I know that there was something way bigger, opening up for me. And I feel that sometimes that can happen quite often when we set our mind to one point, and it's very much that masculine drive of A to B. That's where I want to get. But when you open to the possibilities and when you allow yourself to be in your body and connected to divine, then is the only way that can speak to you and through you.
Yeah, so good. And I think knowing, I think we very much are on that similar wavelength of we get the hustle, and I know I love that hustle energy that I can create, and I can be like, this is what I'm doing. You've mentioned of having that, trying to have that control and being like, I will make it work. I will do it because I always do. And I'm willing to put in the reps. It's it's so interesting as women as we can be in that realm of the masculine, and then quite often the universe will nudge us or push us to move back into the feminine. And it's so cool just knowing your journey and your experience, and then also seeing just the mirrors of how I'm attracted to you in the sense of what you do and your mission. It's yes, more women, more powerful women who are leading movements need to talk about this thing, because it's so important. Because I feel like in society, like women are just taught that they need to work hard, they need to hustle, they need to grind, and it's the only way. And you and I both know there is the feminine flow way, the divine orchestration way.
Yes,
And I'm
yes.
curious to know, like, have you always been in that feminine flow, or has there been like a journey for you of like, this is what I'm doing, and then having that moment where you're like, it can't be like this anymore?
It has been a massive journey to come to this point in time of where I am, because, I'm from Brazil, and I come from a culture where you study and you go to university and you get your certification, your diploma, and you start your career, and that's your life. And so I graduated in law, and I was working as a
Wow.
lawyer in Brazil when I realized that I had so much more of life to live. So I wanted to go and explore before my life got really, really serious on my career. So that's when I decided to come to Australia. So for me, it was very much, wear the suit, go to work, high heels, and really present yourself in a very masculine way. And funny enough, you can travel to the other side of the country, but that won't leave you until you actually look at that. So I came back, I came to Australia. And from nothing, of course, from not knowing anyone, from not speaking one word of English, I literally
Wow.
rebuilt myself into learning English and, making new friends and all of the things. And years later, I had everything. I had two businesses. My husband and I, we had a martial arts academy. So I was training martial arts. I was leading two
So cool.
businesses. I was, traveling for work. And I had two kids. I had the house. Like, I had everything that I should be happy and so grateful for. Like, when you look at two beautiful, healthy children, you're like, why am I still complaining? But you can't avoid that feeling of just not feeling it, of just like, I have it all and I'm not feeling it. I'm just not, I can't feel the joy. I can't feel the pleasure of life. And then because I'm so resistant to change, again, I was pushing and I was forcing and I was like, no, this is it, until my body started to shut down, was panic attacks, was anxiety, the chronic depression. I started taking medication, and I also started to have like reaction to any food that I was eating. Like, my body was reacting. So I started to notice that something was actually not right. I was taking what I needed to take, but I could feel there was something else. So I started doing the work, and by unveiling and actually looking through the things that I had forgotten about myself, led me to this point where I am right now. It's been 10 years now of doing the work, and I became so obsessed and curious about myself first, and about like ways that we can come back to our purpose and our mission, that is not just the papers and certification, but actually, the innate desire that we came here to have and to pursue in our life.
Wow, that's so good. Do you feel like, even like, that is like incredible? I actually didn't even know that you're a lawyer. Like, that's
Yeah.
like proper from like the masculine hustle
Yes.
culture of just the women need to present a particular way. That's like incredible. And it's like, I can see that makes sense. And then having everything that you felt like society says you've got it all, you should be happy, tick, life fulfilled, but just feeling that there's more to me energy.
Yeah.
And I fully, like, I resonate with that. And I feel like I hit that at such a young age of, I was on that trajectory of like, had the partner, had the house, had the dogs, didn't have kids yet, but was a fur mum. And obviously the next steps as per a woman is marriage and babies. And I remember having a moment in my life, I'm like, I'm on the track to having everything that society says will make you happy, but I just like felt nothing inside, and I just felt like so empty, like there was nothing for me. I had gotten the dream job and just yearning for depth. And I guess that's when I stepped into the personal development realm, and then finally had the experience of navigating through what was the start of like my spiritual journey and connecting in with spirit and source. And I feel like even with all the success that I've created, the events that I run, the business that I now have, like the most fulfilling thing out of all of those things has been my journey, like with spirit and like dropping into the connection of the universe and the flow. And I'm wondering if you've like felt the same way as well.
Yeah, 100%. I feel that the woman that you become on the journey is the biggest gift, for ourselves. And again, what I feel is that every time that I'm in any way disconnecting from the source, or trying to control everything again, as you say, universe will come or God will come and just give you a little shake, so it realigns you into like, okay, I'm here, just trust.
Yeah.
And it's just so it feels, for me, it makes me feel so held, and also like so connected to know that we are guided, and there's something else looking down on us and supporting this. And I think when you are connected, it just takes you from this bubble of it's all about me and the problem of the world is my problem and I need to solve everything, and just gives you that, when we come to this simplicity that we are nature, that we are connected to everything, that, when you rise, I rise, when you inspire other women, I get to inspire, like it becomes a different lens that you started to see life.
Yes. Oh
Yeah.
my God, I love that. And I think that's really cool as well, just in the industry as well, because I feel like there can be this energy of like comparison or competition. And what you mentioned of like when you rise, I rise, and what I'm creating is like also like we are coming together very soon to bring something like really cool to life. And it's so magical that you have that concept of understanding, to know that we're creating this together for like the greater good. This is the movement of the masses.
Yes.
And I would love for you to like go into if you've ever experienced the time of like having that competitive or feeling like that disconnection. I know within myself, I've gone through like feeling that competitive energy and being like, I must like triumph, I must like overcome, I must be better. And then dropping into, oh, hang on a minute, like I'm losing out, my people are losing out when I'm in that disconnected energy. And when I actually open myself up to receiving, and actually from collaborating and from working together and actually coming together with people who are on the same mission, that together we actually get to rise. And this is something that even like my clients have like come to me with, and they're like, oh, like I know that I'm not supposed to be feeling this way, but I can't help but feel like a little bit like competitive or comparison, or even like jealous of other people who are getting results that I want to get. And I think this is like such an important conversation in the sense of like women, it's like, since when does it have to be you versus me, and kind of not be like us versus the world? Or like, I know that sounds a little bit like delusional and grandiose, but it's also everyone reaps the benefit of when we actually come together.
Yeah, I feel that, we are humans and we all have egos, and it's very impossible to say, oh, I never felt jealous, or I don't compare myself, or, I don't envy what she's creating because that's what I wanted to create. And I've been trying hard for so many years and I'm still here and she's there. Do you know what I mean? Like we can't avoid this as humans, but I feel also that every time that we enter in this frequency, it also brings us out of the possibility. So every time that we because it's okay to feel it, it's a different thing for you to buy into it and for you to create stories around that. Because every time I'm comparing myself to you, I'm creating a story about myself.
Yes.
And that brings me down into what I'm creating, because my focus goes to what you're doing and not to what I'm creating right now. And I feel that journey of just that itself, or competition, like feeling competitive, which it can be a great quality to have. However, it can feel very lonely as well, because you put yourself on the driver's seat and you drive your car solo. Like you're like, I'm competing here. Like I'm not taking anyone with me. I'm not going to share with you. I'm not going to allow you in. And it becomes that because you like, you're just in that frequency. And I also believe that it's times and times for everything. I think there are times that we need that competitive energy so we can actually fast track our growth in times. And there is other times that feeling they're looking to the comparison also opens the field of like, well, if she's creating that means that I can also create that.
Full permission slip.
Yeah, permission slip. And of course, it's very much to how you look at that, because I can look and say, wow, I really wish I was creating that impact on making that money. But and then I can come back to me. But like what that means that if she's doing, I can also do it.
Yeah. So great. And I love that. It's just like the biggest permission slip. And it's always like the way I've like looked through the lens of, if there's someone who I'm seeing create something that I want, of being like, then the door's open. The door is open and I can walk right through because someone else has walked it before me, meaning that I can create it too. And I think it's just like this. I feel it comes back down to some of the simplest terms that you learn in personal development, of like the growth mindset and having that open mind, growth minded like feature of being like, okay, well, if I'm seeing this, and this is something that I actually learned in my previous relationship, of being with someone who is very big in the industry, and just like seeing how quickly she could create opportunities that I wanted myself. And it was such a beautiful invitation for me to look at things, and instead of being in that competitive nature, being like, if I must be so close to having this in my life, if it is that close in my physical life. Like if I'm seeing someone so close to me create this opportunity and live this opportunity that I also want to myself, then it is literally at my fingertips. And I've always been able to it's like that mindset I'm so grateful to have, because I just look at other people and I'm like, okay, if she's creating it, I can too. And if it's in my field and if it's my awareness, then fuck yes, it's like right there, and I'm going to open myself up to receive it, rather than shutting it off and being like, okay, well, if she's having it, I can't have it type energy. And that's not how the game works.
So powerful. I love that. I love the mindset as well, because if it is in your awareness, it means that it's possible for you, because you can see it. Not everybody can see it, but if you can see that, it means that it's also in your field. So I love that. Just embodying that is so powerful.
So good. I know. I just like, sometimes I'm like, oh yes. When you're working through something, you're like, God damn, this is triggering me. But then you come to an end point and you're like, oh fuck yeah, like actually no, this is so good. I'm so proud of myself. So that was definitely a big moment for me. And yeah, so I want to go into like that feminine leadership piece, because that's like a huge thread of like what you facilitate in your retreats and your events, and what I feel like you're known for, and which is so perfect, because I love that, like that's a big part of your mission. So I'd love for you to kind of go into like what feminine leadership is to you, and why it is so important for women who are building businesses to really activate that part of themselves.
Yeah, I love talking about this. So, I believe that feminine leadership, it is probably the most, there's a lot of important skills, but it's one of the most important skills that we can embody. And the reason why I believe that is because has never been a time like now, what we are living, where there are so many women in position of power as leaders, leading in different fields in the world. And, your grandmother and possibly your mother, same as mine, they didn't have the opportunity that we have right now. So I believe that it is our duty to actually step into leadership. And I also believe that every woman was born to lead, no matter if you want it or not. Like you were born to lead. You are a woman. You generate life. So you are here to lead. And nothing has taught as much as about leadership than being a mother, the kind of mother. And also feminine leadership is not about a gender. It's not about, oh, you're a man or you're a woman. It's about energy. So we had many feminine leaders who embody the feminine leadership, feminine energy in leadership, like Jesus was one, Gandhi was another one. You know, the kind
Yes,
of
I love
people that
this.
believe in miracles, they believe in possibility, they believe in the collective, in we, where, you know, we also have a lot of masculine kind of leaders, you know, just saying Trump is one great example, which is about it's about I'll tell you and you do it, which there is nothing wrong with any style, but it's very different. And what I believe is that on the rising of the feminine, which we are right now, we can, you know, we can not see that, it will require us to fully embody this new way of leading. And I also believe that leadership starts with you. You know, you cannot lead what you cannot lead in yourself. You cannot heal what you can't reveal.
That's so good.
Yeah, you can. So you really have to first, before, because often what I find a lot, and this is also in my spaces, is that I have a lot of women coming to me and they have this massive vision and they want to lead this and they want to create and they want to, you know, sell something and they want to, you know, build something else. And they have all these ideas, which is external ideas. But first, we got to do that internal work, which is I got to be able to lead myself. I got to be able to lead the leadership skills that I have gained from my parents, and really choose if if these are patterns that I choose to continue to move to bring forward, or if I choose to recreate. Right? What are the things inside of me that I got to see before I actually show up in an embodied way and I get to lead other people? Because you can be an amazing leader, but I believe that if you're not embodied, if you're not fully walking your talk, you know, your words are heard, but they are not going to create impact. And that it's very different things, right?
Oh, I love that your words are heard, but they're not going to create impact.
Yeah.
That's so true. And I'm with you on that so fully, because it's the embodiment thing is like there are many leaders in this space, but I feel that you can feel the integrity and the embodiment, and they're the people who are having the ripple effect of impact, not just the impact of helping people like make more money or like build their business, but it's like the generational impact that facilitation as a leader is then rippling through the generations. And it's something that I'm so proud of my body of work. Is it's like, okay, cool, yes, of course we're going to make money, we're going to grow, we're going to scale, we're going to have that freedom lifestyle, achieve and create what you want. But underneath the whole thread of that is actually like the person that you become during that experience. And that is the magic. Like that is the magic. I talk about this in my world of like soul prophecy. Like I believe that every single person has a prophecy that they're here to live out. And when you connect into that, that is the change and the ripple effect that your soul chose to create by incarnating on earth in this time.
Yes, I got goosebumps.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm like, yes,
Yeah,
that's so much of what I believe. Yes.
Yeah, it's so great. And I think, you know, as you said, like there's so many women like stepping into power. There's so many women scaling their businesses. There's so many women now that are making more money than ever before. And I love this because I'm like, of course, like let's grow, like let's move, let's lead. And there is still just like such a big yearning for your body of work, like the feminine leadership, because there are so many women who are making more money, but they're still in their masculine. And they're just continuously, whilst it looks like they're creating generational change, they're just consistently looping the deeper parts within that are yet to be alchemized and shifted out for the next generation. So I think
true.
like as a leader, and as someone myself who has such a huge vision of the impact that I'm leading and the movement that I'm creating, it's that end also we get to create such a large scale impact of generational change. And I think this generation we're probably different generations and like Gen
Yes,
Z. Yeah.
millennials here.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I don't want to admit what generation I'm in, but it's still this collective generation of
Yeah.
that conscious awakening. And, you know, like you said before, like my mother and my grandmother and my great grandmother never had the opportunity that I have today, but that was their sole choice to reincarnate in that time. And now here I am, the time where this is the most potent time to really activate that feminine leadership and to create that generational change. So my children and the generations that come beyond me have the freedom that I've created, but also have the consciousness, the healing, the soul liberation that previous generations didn't have. So it's like this work is so important for business now, but it's even greater for the impact to come.
Exactly. I feel that we are planting the seeds and they will smell the flowers.
Oh, that's such a good analogy.
I know. I just came up with that. I love it. That's so
just
great.
came out with it.
So yeah,
trademark that.
Yeah, it is. So it is. I that's what I feel. I feel that we're planting the seeds, we're watering. You know, there are many seeds that won't grow, but they will actually, smell that and really take advantage of all the hard work that we are doing right now. And when you say about your mother and your grandmother, I also have this belief, which funny, this came to me in one of the medicine journeys that I was on, and it was so clear, and it was just this deep gratitude for the woman who came before me, because they had to go through everything, so I could be here right now. So I didn't have to go through it because I watched and I learned, and then I could decide what I wanted for my life.
Yeah.
And so I feel that a lot of the hardships that that I've saw in my mother when she divorced after 25 years of marriage, and the pain that I saw her going through because she had to relearn who she was at 40. I think I'm turning 43 next week, and she was probably about my age. And she, and she didn't know who she was. She devoted her entire life for her family. And, she gave up in all her dreams. And in that moment, I made a decision that was not going to be my life, that I would never give up myself for anyone, because I don't think that you need to get to that time in your life and ask this question, who am I now?
Yeah.
So that's why my mission is so strong, because I've seen that. I have lived that with my mother, and I have been able to find myself. And this is I believe that until my last breath, I will still be knowing who I am, and now to support other women in the same path. But also on what you said about women who keep on this masculine pattern, and even though they are creating an impact, they're still coming from the old pattern of, I have to work hard, I have to push, I have to do it in this way because this is the only way. And sometimes it's not because we want, it's just because it is the only way that we know, that we know to be. So that's why your work, it's so important, because you are showing women that there is a different way. But what I also found is, and another part of feminine leadership, it's about light and dark feminine. And I feel that has been a catalyst for myself to be able to be fully seen and, really allow the world to see me when I was able to embody that. So yeah, I feel that's such an important work to do, and really teach women on what is the shadow and the wound of the light feminine and the dark feminine, because I lived for a long time, and I thought I was strong, grow up with a lot of boys. I, was play outside. I knew how to fight and all the things. And then I realized that even though I looked so strong, I was still living on the shadow of the light feminine, people pleasing and being nice and, like just giving and giving and giving and going into that resentment afterwards. And just all the things, like didn't have my voice, didn't feel confident in sharing my authentic self. And it wasn't until I fully embodied that dark feminine, which is, your magnetism, which is your sexuality, which is, your assertiveness, which is your boundaries, that you are no longer using that against you, but actually as an ally so the world can see, all that you are.
Yeah. Oh my God, this is so good because it's so true. It's like, okay, we have this era of masculine women in the hustle, but they're still playing out the light feminine paradigm of the people pleasing, like the no backbone, bending over backwards for other people and not standing in their truth. And it's interesting because I feel like when people think like feminine, they're like, oh, like this feminine flow, light
Mm-hmm.
and fluffy. And it's like, well, no, if full integrated feminine is like the depth and the range that she can have, because the feminine at her essence is like she's the chaos, right? She's like the chaos, the momentum, the movement, the energy. She's the creator of life, and life happens in chaos. So it's the full expression of that, the dark feminine, the rage, the range of the rage, and also her sexuality, like that creatrix energy, as well as the gracious leader. And I think so many people have this a connotation that this feminine leadership is like all light and fluffy and just go with the flow and whatever. It's like actually it's so deep with that. And it's just so interesting coming off the cuff of my retreat. As a big thread of that is that retreat was for high level women. So most of them are all in their masculine, but then at the same time, it's they're in their masculine, but still playing out the people pleaser
Mm-hmm.
archetypes and not actually going within the body to feel the depth of their emotions. They're just simmering across the top of because I think a lot of women who are in their masculine are one, of course, disconnected from their bodies, disconnected from their emotion, but using the masculine to stay disconnected out of the fear of what happens when I drop into my body.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole retreat that I just facilitated was we're going into the body. And of course, there's met with resistance. A lot of emotion comes through, a lot of release of I've been working to avoid feeling these things. And of course, as you know, when you're avoiding feeling certain things, you continue to have things being confronted in your life that you are forced to face in order to traverse that
Mm-hmm.
feeling of what the depth is and what the wound that it's pressing up against. And in our retreat, it was a space for those women to fully let go of the mask that they were holding, the I've got it all together, like the strong face that they put to the world, and actually begin to journey into the emotion and feel safe to unpack all of that. And of course, there's so much emotion, but by diving into that, yes, it's uncomfortable and confronting, but on the other end is the feminine flow, which is everything falling into place for them. And I feel like I just want to remove this stigma that this feminine flow and feminine leadership is light and airy fairy. It's like, no, actually, it's the most confronting thing that you can do, because you're forced to face your deepest wounds and fears rather than being in the masculine and disconnected from your body.
Exactly. Oh, I got so many goosebumps as you were sharing about the retreat because I could see everything that you're just speaking on. I have facilitated many retreats by now, and that's what I love about retreats, the immersion where they get to unpack. And on the other side of that is the
The
liberation,
liberation.
the liberation of their authentic, like who they truly are and not who they pretending to
Mm,
be, who they often have been showing up as, but actually, how do I feel right now? And what's alive for me? And when you haven't been able to tap into that, you cannot show us that, so it's so powerful. I love the work. And yes, and feminine leadership is nothing close to, light and soft. And I often say that, feminine leadership, it looks unique to each one of us.
mm-hmm,
It might be for
mm-hmm.
you to wear, beautiful dress and photo shoot in Bali and dance and go to, rituals, and that's okay. But often it is, your integration of your light feminine and your dark feminine. And actually it's bringing you to a place of power, to a place of, how can you communicate your truth? How can you set your boundaries without explaining yourself? How can you meet conflict as you are in a grounded nervous system, so you can hold that? So it's
Mm.
so much deeper than, like these words that have been thrown around. And I feel that when women start to really go into the concept and the importance of leading themselves and being able to see that and bring it all home to who they are, then they are no longer afraid. They're no longer afraid of being seen, because what I see a lot is we work so hard, and we push and we try all the things, and we say that we want something, but unconsciously we're doing all that we can to continue to hide.
Yes.
We are doing all that we can to continue to sabotage real results because of that, because of the unintegration that is taking place, and we don't even know.
With like clients that come to you and they're feeling like they're in the masculine, like I would assume that a lot of women that come to you are in the business space or are entrepreneurs or in the corporate world, and they're like, I'm in this masculine. Like, what do you do to have them drop into the feminine? Like, how can someone really step into that field? Because I feel like, like you said, a lot of women are playing out this masculine role because they haven't been taught how to be in the feminine, how to be a feminine leader, and that's all that they know, and that's all of the societal's expectations of, if you want to be successful, this is just the way to do it. And of course, now as the collective is consciously awakening, more things are coming up of like, oh, okay, it's this beginning to question everything we once knew to be true, and starting to unveil all of these paradigms and blueprints and programs that we've been installed to be like, actually, it doesn't have to be that way. So when women come to you, and I'm assuming most of the time they're in their masculine and they're learning how to be integrated into their feminine, like what does that process look like for you?
Yeah, I do work with a lot of women in power, in corporate business owners and entrepreneurs as well. And I feel that the first work that I usually, there's so many steps into this work, but I feel that the first one is actually really getting the clarity of, into the life that they're living right now, and where are the gaps, and what's happening that is causing them to feel that way. And then we move into what would look like to actually embody more of the feminine. How do they want to feel? Like, what is the life? What does it look like for them? And then we start with nervous system, because I feel that, as you said, when a woman, they are in their masculine, they are not in their body. And when you're not in your body, we are disconnected from our intuition, we are disconnected from our pleasure, we are disconnected from our creativity, from our joy, So I feel that the first step is bringing them back to the body, and we have to create safety, because a lot of women, they don't feel safe. We go into our mind and we find ways to distract because our body is not a safe space. So how can we rewire and actually recreate a sense of safety? And that is many, many practices that we do that we know will take them back. And it's so beautiful to watch it as they come in, they're so shut down, and they have so many, weights and masks and protection, and they can hardly move. If you do a movement, they can hardly move. They can hardly close their eyes, because it's just so unknown, it's so new to them. And slowly, step by step, they will start to soften. And also another thing that I really support them with is, I feel that when you are in your masculine, often you are very reactive to things. And so everything becomes a reaction, even when your kids talk to you, you're reacted to it, or your husband, or your people at work, you just lack in patience and presence to actually see beyond, your, what's happening inside of you. And I often say that it's like a pressure cook. They're inside of this pressure cook, and it's about to explode at any time. So we're like, all right, let's just do this work before it actually explodes. So we do a lot of nervous system and really reconnecting them with, creativity and joy and pleasure, and all of these aspects that will bring them back into unlearning what they know, so they can learn a new way. And I don't believe that they need to burn the boats and change their life. It's actually, how can we make what you do way more powerful, amplify your impact in what you do by just shifting the way that you see yourself, the way that you are, the way that you lead, the way that you show up every day.
So good. It's so good. And it's so true. I am also on agreement of like, we don't need to burn the boats. We can just like build the bridge at the same time. Like, and I think that's a very big like masculine toxic culture, like the grind hustle. It's just like, go all in, burn the bridges, like build the raft as you're swimming type thing. And I'm
Exactly.
like, yes, you can do it that way. They can be very cortisol inducing, and
Mm-hmm.
you probably would, build the raft eventually. At what cost? And it's interesting. I was listening to a podcast, I can't remember who it was, and they were saying like you can do it that way. Like you can burn the bridges and you can go all in, but statistically, I think it's like 1% of people who do that actually succeed. So it's like,
Wow.
yeah. So it's an insane percentage of where being that's such a big stigma in the industry, especially with like the entrepreneurship industry of like go all in, leave everything and go all in, you'll make it work. That's the fastest way to make it work. And yes, some people have that grit and that resilience to create something out of nothing, but a lot of people aren't built like that. And just because they aren't doesn't mean they can't be successful. It's like, okay, you actually need to look at, is this actually going to work in your favor, or is it going to come down, crash and burn? And you can actually, yeah, like you said, it's almost a similar analogy to like the flower garden, right? It's like you can like plant the seeds, sow them and watch them grow, but you don't have to just like pull out the entire garden and start again. You can just like replant new seeds and things will grow at different times. And I think so many people just have this, like, I have this even happen in my world with clients, and they're like, yeah, I'm going all in. I'm in this delusional energy. I'm investing. I'm going all in. I'm quitting my job. And you're like, okay, like, I love the delusion. I'm here to support you because, like, hey, I mean, like, I obviously like went all in on my business, but it was at a point where it's like my business was already generating income before I left my career. And I see that and I'm like, I'm a huge advocate for it. And I also want you to be successful and not feel like your world has come crashing down on you.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm completely against burning, burning the
brand,
boats and
brand.
burn the bridge and
Yeah.
everything because because we are women and we are seasonal, and right
Yes.
now you might be in your summer season and you have a lot of energy and you have all the fire, but tomorrow you might be on your autumn or winter and you're not going to have that energy. So how can we create something that is actually sustainable for your nervous system so you can grow? And maybe, your seed will grow in 2 months, maybe it will take 2 years.
Yeah.
And I feel that nature is the biggest teacher with that,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's just, the ocean, like the, pineapple, it takes 9 months to have a pineapple, and it's like, why do we believe that tomorrow you got to be, that version of you? So I believe that, your nervous system first, what brings you safety, because safety is the key for a longing journey. When you try to fast track everything, you can do it. It's not that you cannot do it, but as I love that question, at what cost?
Yeah.
And what do you want for yourself? Like, do you want to not, do you want to go 24 hours in your business and work and not having social life and not date? And you know what I mean? Like, there is always a cost. So you've got to really work with your values and see what's important to you.
Yeah, I agree with that fully. Do you find, is there anything like that you see kind of like in your niche or in your industry of like people talking about feminine that you like disagree with and you're like, oh, like it's not it, and you wish you could like shake people and wake people up? Is there anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, well, what I do, what I feel that a lot of people have a concept is exactly what you said is, feminine. I have to wear the red lipstick. Oh, I have to wear the dress. Oh, so many people came to me, women, and say, oh, no, I don't think your event is for me because I see everybody wearing red and red lipstick and that's just not me. And I'm like, you're so wrong.
That's crazy.
You're just so wrong.
You're like, my branding must be really good, my branding at some point, but that's not what it's about.
I've heard that so many times. Like people who came to my event, they say, I was really hesitant to come because I didn't know what to wear. Everybody looks so good and, the red lipstick. And I'm like, wow, you're just like, I'm glad everybody's.
You're so influential with the red lipstick. And the white too, because I see you obviously you wear white and red so much.
Yes, yes. I'm bringing a little bit of brown now. I'm in my brown season, but red and white is definitely my color. And but yeah, that's a projection of, of feminine should look like that. And always what I share in my stages is that for a really long time, I have always worked out. I always loved looking after myself. And even I felt really good, I always dim my light and dim the way that I dress, because I always got judgment. I always felt judged by other women, by women who had partners and boyfriends. I felt judged by them. And so I trying to hide myself, because there was, so I could be nicer, so people would like me. And then I got to this stage of my life where I'm like, I don't care. Yeah. And I'm just going to be me. And so that's it. If I want to dress like that, I'll dress like that. If I want to wear the lipstick, I do it. And that's who I am. And I want to, be the permission piece, so the other women feel that they can be whatever they want to be. If you want to wear, whatever you want to wear, this is you. And it's okay for you to allow yourself to be your authentic self in here.
Yeah, I love it. It's like there is always a stereotypical image painted with masculine and a stereotypical image painted with feminine. It's like, why do we do this to ourselves? Why do we put like, it's such a natural human response to just put things into boxes and to just compartmentalize and to just like create a cage around a particular thing. And it's like, that is like the opposite to soul liberation in this, which is the work that you do. Right? It's like, okay, well, if this is how you're coming into this space, and then one, for starters, you clearly need to come into this space so you can have that liberation. And two, it's like this, it's just not how it is. And I'm so with you. I'm like, just want to shake people and be like, it's not like that construct that you're putting in your mind is just limiting
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel that is a lot about, the collective archetypes, isn't it? Like, a mother is that look, or it should look like that. And this archetype, it should look like this. So we sort of share this collective archetype. And I feel that, that's why we do the work that we do, because we came here to ruffle feathers, we came here to make waves and to say, yes, it is that. And it's also this.
Yeah.
You say, yes, I can be successful. I can have the freedom. I can look amazing. I can, have an amazing relationship because I get to.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to choose anymore. And that's feminine leadership. It's about, I can have that and that. I can have this and this, because there is not only one way. And this is my way.
Oh, this is so good. I love this. And I usually bring this into the realm of like spirituality and materialism, because we very much have very similar values and very connected into source, into our spirituality, and then also love the luxury lifestyle. And it's like, I am just like, can we bring the two together? Because there is such a big connotation around spiritual people and woo-woo people are broke. And I'm like, God damn, like it's not that way. It doesn't have to be that way, which is why for me, especially like with what I'm creating and the space that I'm creating for women, it's like, I want you to be like the fullest version of you, like the red carpet version of you. Like you can wear the glitz and the glam and you can show up owning like all of you. And you can be spiritual, and you can be spiritual and materialistic, and it gets to be both. Like you get to have this and that, not either. And like, when did we give up the desire in the name of sovereignty or of spiritual liberation? Like when did we give up desire? And not to say that everyone wants nice, luxurious things, but I know I do. And I love that. And it's like, it's such a big stigma of like, oh, you're a bad person if you like nice things. And it's like, fucking okay. Like I like nice things, but I'm also woo-woo as fuck. And it's like, I get to have both. Yeah. And the fact that I allow myself and give myself to permission is the most liberating feeling, as opposed to keeping them all compartmentalized and boxed off from one another. It's like, you can't be spiritual and buy designer at the same time, because it's like, oh, the values don't align. It's like, in your world maybe, but for me, they do.
I feel that I just love this conversation. It's so important, that we dismantleize what the spirituality it should look like. I feel that first it should be a non-judgmental place. And
It's supposed to be,
and
right?
if you like that, good on you, just do that. And if you like to wear whatever, you just wear whatever you want. And I agree with you. I love great things. I love investing money in beautiful things. It's just something that I absolutely adore, and I feel that it's such a special moment for me when I can do that, when I do that for myself. And that does not mean that I cannot sit barefoot on a tipi and pray all night and sing, and I can be both.
Exactly. I've got range.
Yes, it's called range.
Yeah.
So you can be, you can be all of that, and that's all of you. It's not, oh, that's a version of me and this is a version of me. That gets to be all of me. And I feel that, yes, a lot of people, again, because they are not embodied and not integrated, they don't feel safe to show those parts of themselves because they're going to be judged. If you like good things and you want to spend on a expensive handbag, but you are afraid of what other people will say, it's because you have to do some work in yourself.
Yes.
Because you haven't fully embodied your power to say, this is who I am. And if you are judging, you also got to do some work in yourself because you clearly got a trigger that you got to look into it, because I feel that if you are spiritual, I always say that when you are spiritual, it's not about I'm here and you're there. It's about knowing that your spirituality and my spirituality, they are not higher, or there's not level of hierarchy. I can't even say this word, but different levels. It's just the journey that everyone is navigating through. So if someone is having an awakening now, it's beautiful, and that's to the same level that I am. I feel that we are all the same, just experiencing different levels of initiation.
Oh, that whole sentence was great. You were in flow and I was like, yes, I love this. That's so true though. It's like if you're buying these things but you're hiding them, it's like the indication, okay, great, you need to do some work on that. And then also the projection piece of like, if you're preaching this but then projecting shame and shade onto this other aspect, it's like, well, that's an invitation for the work to be done. And I feel like this has been also like a thread, even just like with the podcast episodes I've been recording, like today is like the feminine leadership piece, and then also like the projection piece. That's the invitation of integration. It's the invitation of integration.
I feel that self-ownership is the number one pillar of feminine leadership, right? It's really taking ownership of your actions, of your behaviors, of your thoughts, of, your decisions. I feel that, again, once you lead yourself, you can lead others. When you can move with certainty amongst the chaos, and you can lead with certainty, when your words have weight, people will feel the impact. They just not hear your words, it sounds beautiful, they feel in their body. And so that's what I feel it is, and it's an invitation for every woman to actually take a look at themselves and be radical honest into, where are my triggers, what's triggering me, and and really like look into these parts and bring to the light and love on them, and just really honoring, because that's often, your little girl inside and having a little tantrum and, comparing and, and asking for something of you. And it takes work. It takes work, it takes time, it takes inquiring, it takes responsibility to actually, because it's so much easier to help others. It's so much easier to, be creating something externally, actually, to avoid what's inside.
Yeah. It's like when you put the mirror in front of yourself. Yeah, absolutely. It's so true. And I feel like I've always said the entrepreneurship journey is the most spiritual journey that you'll ever embark on, because it will force you to face parts of yourself that you were never willing to. And which I love. And I mean, it's true. It's like every level that you come up against, and that every identity that you're stepping into, it's like you're forced to face a new part of yourself for the purpose of integration, and to fully embody that version of you, like the woman that you're becoming. And that's like I feel for myself, that's what I feel feminine leadership is. It's like at every level, meeting yourself at a deeper level, so you can actually become the person and the woman that you need to be to lead the impact that you're here to lead.
I love that. Yeah. So powerful. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Agree.
Oh, so good. Oh, well, Mariana, this has been amazing. I am so grateful that we've been able to connect and come together. And I'm so excited to be bringing to life what's currently happening in the background that we're chipping away at. And I know that the people that get to experience you are going to walk away with so much like value, like even just being in your presence. It's so magnetic. It's so like so light, so manic, but also like this level of like grounded power that I just admire so much. So
Mm.
thank you for being on the podcast today. I'm very grateful to have you here. And for those who are new to hearing your voice, where can they find you?
First, thanks for having me. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here and yes, to reconnect. And I am so excited to share what's coming. Um, yeah, I sort of dropped in into a few of my women, and they're like, "Yeah, I cannot wait."
Yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna be a thing.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that. How can they find me? I feel my Instagram is the best place to find me and to hear a little bit more of my voice and also what's coming. So just on Mariana Lennert, and they'll be able to find me there.
Amazing. So good. Thank you, my love. And thank you, beautiful souls, for listening in on another episode on the Don't Sugarcoat It podcast. You know the vibe, all spice, no sugar. And we'll be seeing you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.